Hey, Scott Jordan here, and it's another live show from the Bullen broadcast studio, and this is our virtual show. And I have Mark Warner here with us. Thank you very much for those of you watching live, and for those of you who aren't watching live, you're probably watching a recording. So we got it both ways. We got live shows. This is our last day, and I already said on the previous show, the last day is the last day, but we're really looking forward to some great content this afternoon, so I'm going to hand it off to Mark Warner to talk about what's coming up in this session.
Well, thank you, Scott. And yeah, this is a live streaming broadcast of technical and educational material, and this one is fantastically appetizing to discuss. We're discussing grease traps and the types of odors and concerns that they create in kitchens and schools and restaurants. Everybody deals with this, and it's a challenge. It's actually a very severe challenge. And so we've asked our resident expert, Mr., or shall I call him Dr. Jack Collins. Jack, I'm looking to you for some advice on how to handle things like grease trap maintenance.
Thanks, Mark and Scott. Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite subjects to talk about, both to customers and distributor sales reps, because it's a win-win for everybody. If we go start the slide deck, we'll see that the distributors do just as well with this monetarily as we save money on the customer end. But that is a grease trap there, and is Mark stated, it's an very appetizing thing to look at. Too bad we can't smell it, because that would be even worse. Typically when they're cleaning and pumping these things out, and if we move into the next slides, we'll talk about really what some big issues are. Actually, let's talk about where they are, first of all. Just about anybody that's got a kitchen is going to have a grease trap. And particularly institutional and commercial kitchens are required in most municipalities to keep the grease out of the waste flow into the wastewater treatment plants. But what is the real problem with them? And we'll see that in the next slide. So the real issues are, it costs a lot of money to maintain them. Pump outs are either required by the municipal regulations of the town they're in, or a city or a county, and then you deal with the fact that it's just a stinky job. I've talked to people who have done it personally. Thankfully, I've only experienced it once myself and didn't want to do it again. So we've got a product, and that's the RX 33 grease trap maintenance program that just does an amazing job in addressing those problems of cost, plumbing issues. And so what it is a bioenzymatic product that basically injects billions of safe microorganisms which consume, digest, and liquefy the grease and any blockages in the drain from grease right away. They just go away. And we added aericide to it, which help eliminate any odors. And actually, just consuming the grease itself will help eliminate the odors. And we partnered up with Hydro on their auto dose pumps so the product goes into the drains automatically, and it's a real smooth system. I am now going to introduce Alex Smith, who is a account manager with Cleanorama, and Alex is making a lot of money with this particular item, as many of my distributor sales reps are. So let's go ahead, Alex. I am here with Alex Smith, who's an account manager with the Cleanorama company in the southern Maine area, based in the Portland area. Alex is a good friend, and I've known him a few years. He's really good with, and it's not snowing in Maine right now, Alex. That's just
not yet
off camera. But the reason Alex is here is Alex has had a lot of success with the subject of this presentation, which is our grease trap maintainer program. The last 3 to 4 years, had some nice accounts that have added some nice dollars to his bottom line and bank account at the end of the year. So Alex, let's talk a little bit about, just the general benefits of the grease trap maintainer program, and why some of the customers you have using it are now buying it.
Certainly. Well, first and foremost, any account that has a kitchen, which is many of the accounts that we're dealing with, certainly whether we're talking healthcare, we're talking schools, Even businesses, everybody's got a grease trap that needs to be maintained. So in a lot of places, it's a pump out. In a lot of places, it's a treatment. But what we find is the cost of a pump out can be very expensive to some of these places, especially given the size of some of these grease traps. So in many cases, it is much more cost effective and just as beneficial to use the RX-33 grease trap maintainer product opposed to a pump out. One of the things, that really is a strong benefit as well is the odor control of that product. When we are using a product on a day-to-day basis or several times a week, that's one of the nice things about this product. And the way that it's used is there is some flexibility, so depending on the size of the grease trap, depending on the customer's needs and wants, we can really tailor the program to be what they need it to be. So while keeping the drain lines clean and maintained, we're doing the same thing with the grease trap. And then again, like I say, from an odor control standpoint, in a lot of these kitchens, everybody knows those smells. The RX-33 does a very good job of neutralizing those odors. So a lot of benefits there.
Yeah, I mean, and I know in a couple of the accounts that I've sold outside of Maine and with Cleanorama, I mean, the odor control, and even I know one of the things that happened, you sell a very large casino in Maine, and that was one of the reasons we got in there was they were having, even though they had just literally had, if I remember the story, they had just had their grease trap. They have a very large grease trap, as you know, grease tank. They had just had it pumped out, but the odors didn't go away.
Exactly.
And we were able to eradicate that and demonstrate how effective our product is, and with just one installation. So, the odor control is huge. Let me ask you a little bit about the installation of the systems. You and I have done one or two ourselves together, and that's usually been I wouldn't say a drawback, but it's had some distributor sales reps go, I don't want to deal with stuff under the sink and tapping into drain lines. And I mean, can you talk a little bit really about how simple and easy it actually is?
Oh, certainly. Certainly. I know that some people can be a little intimidated by it, but the truth of the matter is typically the installation is, 30 minutes or less per setup. Really all we're trying to figure out is dependent on the grease trap or the grease tank size is our output. So once we've determined what the output needs to be, and then of course,
so I'll just stop you there. So when you mean by output, so as people understand, the output is how much we're actually dosing the drain lines with the RX-33 every day. So that's what I mean. That's what you mean. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So yes, once we've determined that output and, done the math, had the conversation with the customer, and we've settled on where we need to be, the programming of the dispenser itself is very simple. It comes with a little booklet. You can walk yourself right through it in just a few minutes. So that's very simple. As far as the physical installation and tapping into a line, I mean, essentially you're going to get the lay of the land. You need to know where that grease trap is, and then you need to know where these drains are, feeding to it. So essentially we're just looking for the right, area that we want to tap in. And very simply, like I say, in just a few minutes, you can tap into one of those drain lines, set your tube, set your output, pick your days. In a lot of cases, it's a daily output, sometimes even twice a day. We are dosing those lines, but it is, essentially a constant feed day to day or week to week. And once you've done it one time, this is what I, tell the other folks at Cleanorama, once you've done it once, you understand how simple it really is.
Yeah.
It can be a little intimidating at first, but Jack's always here to help. So we can make that easy, and it's not a difficult setup at all,
No, it is, and actually sometimes you're referring to tapping into a drain line, and that gives an image of people, having to drill into pipe. Sometimes you do. I mean, I think you and I have done that
on occasion.
A lot of times, and I know I want you to speak to your long-term care facility there in Portland that is using the product. A lot of times you were actually replacing another system. In that particular case, and once you tell the story, we were able to save the guy money over the product that he was buying. Explain a
Oh,
little bit about how that worked.
certainly, certainly. So again, it's a long-term care facility in Portland, Maine here that we're working with in this instance. And essentially, what I walked into, we're meeting a new customer, we're developing that relationship, kind of piece by piece. We're going through what their needs are. It comes up in conversation that he's got a grease trap that he's trying to maintain for his kitchen, and he's buying a very expensive product through another company. Now, when
You can mention who it is.
yeah, so it was coming through State Chemical, and it was very, very pricey. We were probably talking, I want to say it was $400 to $500 a pail that he was paying, and this is something that it's a monthly reorder. So those outputs, once we've discussed it with the customer, we know the size of the grease trap. It's flowing every single day, to the point that it needs to be to maintain that grease trap. So essentially,
we also discovered when you and I were there for that, some of the initial installations, that when we were looking at the dosing for the pumps from the other company, that he was way off. I mean,
it was very high,
very high,
very high.
So, yeah, we were able to save him money by not just on the cost of the product, but also by reducing his dosing down to a more normal level. Yeah. So go on. So a little bit.
And we were saving the customer significant money just from a price standpoint, giving him an equivalent product, as far as the quality of the RX 33. It's a very high-end product, but when we look, a 5-gallon pail versus a 5-gallon pail, that's what the customer sees. So if one of them is, $500 and the other one's, $165, certainly there's a big difference right there. But again, to what you alluded to, Jack, their outputs, their dosing rates on a day-to-day basis were set so much higher than they actually needed to be, that aside from just the price savings on the pail itself, there was a twofold savings due to getting him set to the correct outputs. And then in the same breath, I've probably been working with that account on the grease trap maintainer side of things for 3 to 4 years at this point. The customer's been very happy. We have not had issues. And one of the things, that he had said in the past while using the other product was, on occasion, he still did have to have that pumped out, have the line snaked. There were issues that came up as well. Since we've introduced the RX 33, they have not had those issues. And to the benefit of myself and Cleanorama, we continue to see those reorders on a regular basis. So
yeah, so I want to comment on that. That's obviously surely one of the benefits for the wholesaler, and then you particularly the distributor sales rep that has these installations, is the repeat business. And in the cleaning industry, we do have a lot of products that repeat every week, every month, and that's paper liners, all the stuff that people use, disposable items that people clean with. The cool thing about this particular system for the sales guy is you install it and it's an automatic order every month, and
you put in a little bit of time and labor to make sure that is set up properly. And then essentially, it's almost hands off. You just need to be in there, checking in with the customer, and then of course checking those pails as well, because sometimes out of sight, out of mind, when these things are placed under a sink, the customer isn't always keeping an eye on it. So you do want to make sure that you're in there keeping tabs. But certainly, year to year, it has been a very significant increase in sales just for the grease trap maintenance.
Yeah, I do want to comment on the dosing, and that is the dosing. It has a recommendation of 2 ounces per gallon per size of the grease trap per day. And But as you and I remember having the conversation with a couple of your customers, and even a couple of your other sales guys I've worked with on these opportunities, that dosing, that's just a baseline. It can go up or down depending on really, as you and I discovered when we were at the casino and discussing the dosing, because technically, because of the size of their operation, that we could have just blown it out the door. We actually I think we reduced it a little bit, but
we did. We cut it back.
But in a lot of situations, I'll use school departments as an example, or even your long-term care facility. Institutions aren't using as much grease and fat in their cooking as they were, say, 15 years ago, for health reasons. So there is less downflow coming into the grease traps than there was, say, 15,
Certainly.
20 years ago. So we've been able, in some cases, I think we did this at the Barron Center, actually reduce the flow a little bit because of that consideration. Would you agree with that?
I would certainly, and something else to keep in mind too is, you know, in a lot of situations, in a lot of kitchens, you're gonna use more than one pump. You know, sometimes there are multiple areas, multiple drain lines that you want to make sure that you're treating as well. So when you look at it from that standpoint, if you've got 2-3 pails, you know, running at the same time, you can have, you know, each one running a fraction of what that overall dosing needs to be. So that's just something too that as you become more familiar with the product, selling the product, setting up the product, you can kind of tailor your outputs to what the customer's needs truly are going to be. And again, it's a very flexible system. So, you know, where there's a will, there's a way. So like I say, again, it's just kind of doing the math, speaking with the company rep, speaking with the customer. And, you know, I haven't had one instance where we haven't been able to settle on something that is going to work, you know, for the customer, and then of course be beneficial to the supplier as well, just due to the reorders. So, you know, it's a twofold benefit.
It's a win-win for everybody.
Yep, exactly.
Well, Alex, I want to thank you for your time this morning. I'm going to let you go out and sell some more RX 33 grease trap
Certainly
today.
And I look forward to it.
I want to thank Alex for doing that, and he was going to try to do that live, but he is a very, very busy man. So thank you, Alex. I hope this interview and conversation Alex and I just had help you a little bit more comfortable and knowledge about our RX33 grease trap maintenance program. If you're a customer and you're interested, please reach out to the Bullen companies or myself or your local Airx Laboratories distributor in your area. Thank you again, everybody. Enjoy. Bye-bye.